Okay. Is this working? Danny, is your mic muted?
My mic is muted, but
Okay.
this
All
is fantastic. Wow. And when we came on, the big graphics of standby.
Yeah, I'll turn that off next time before I put us on here. I
No,
wasn't
I like it.
sure
I
how
think
that
Jake
worked.
only gets 2 demerits instead of his usual 50 demerits. So good job.
Well, yeah,
Good job,
okay. I
Jake.
mean, we have to start by apologizing for anybody who's trying to watch this on X because we don't have a premium account on X. I don't know why we thought we were going to stream on X, but we're
I
not
guess we're
paying.
gonna have to
We're
get
not paying Elon Musk any fucking money. So.
Oh, okay. So no, so we're never streaming on X. Okay, Derek.
No, we are not streaming on X. That's just
Think about all the money we could earn. Didn't they stop doing payouts?
I don't know. I mean, they did they rug pulled payouts basically, right? Like they jacked it up for a couple of months to get everybody talking about, oh, I made $20,000 on X, and then after that it was I got
Not as
7
good.
billion views and I made $2.73.
Derek, I also think you're clipping, but that might just be the internet in your area right now.
There's nothing I can do about it.
Yeah. So okay, but so everyone just blame the great people of the Mid-Atlantic Seaboard for not having good internet. We don't want to hear your complaints. But everyone, hello, welcome to American Prestige. We are using a new program, which you could see we now have the background and everything for all of you people out there in mobile land or internet land. Are we? Oh, okay, cool. We're able to see people. All right.
Yeah, let me see what's going on with the
Yeah. No, we could see. This is great. All right, excellent.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah,
okay, the Instagram's finally on. All
the
right.
Instagram is on. People are talking in the chat. This is great. We're helped out by our friends at the Glenn Lowry podcast, who helped us put this together. So thank you everyone for watching. So Derek, we've actually got a full docket today. What do you want to start with? We've got
I don't
Trump
know.
selling. Let's start with the Trump selling. Trump selling access to basically insider information to Wall Street firms.
That's so perfect.
So yeah, no, this is a good one. So I'm not
This
sure.
is. I mean, we just did that thing with Branko about the corruption, and oh my god, yeah. I mean, just like flat out corrupt.
Yeah. Oh yeah, we're competing.
Insane.
Wait, is Trump's address? Trump's address is at 9, right?
No, Trump's address is at 9. Yeah.
Yeah. I would never compete with Trump. Yeah. So I don't know if people have seen this, but Trump is going to. So Trump apparently has a company that owns Truth Social, and the plan is to sell early access to the top 10 Truth Social accounts. You'll be surprised.
Basically, Trump. I mean,
yeah, basically
early access to his posts.
Trump and his family, right? I imagine.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine. Yeah, I would imagine
are also
whole gang, but he's the one who's making statements that are going to affect
the market,
the stock market.
Right.
So if you want to insider trade on the basis of Donald Trump's random
only
musings.
institutions. So it's like institutional access.
Oh, so okay. So it's not individual access.
No, from what I read, it was only institutional access. So basically,
like that's
if you're a bank, a private equity company, an asset management firm, a hedge fund, you will now have access to pre-broadcast insider information. So this is a pretty good one. And I think what I like, it's like a beautiful wine pairing, Derek, because the other story that we're going to talk about is the fact that his teleprompter guy has been insider betting.
I like this guy. This guy's my hero. They should let him. He should get a parade. Like they shouldn't be firing him or prosecuting him.
Right.
Like he's trading on Kalshi.
Correct.
Based on his knowledge of what Trump is going to say in any given speech. Just, I mean, come on, man. Like you're grinding at that point. Like the rest of these guys are all like got their hands in everybody's pockets 24 hours a day. If you're the teleprompter guy, why shouldn't you cash in? That's the ethos of the administration is grab the bag.
Well, Derek,
grab the bag.
Apparently, okay, so what this guy's been betting on, I think it's unclear precisely what he's been betting on, but there are Kalshi markets for betting on words used and subjects covered in Trump's speeches. And so between late 2025 and early 2026, over the course of 3 months, the teleprompter guy has made about $100,000 betting on this. But the funniest part is that apparently it was Trump who demanded that he be put on unpaid leave. so that the guy who is presently selling insider information is
He's got
so
standards. Yeah,
aghast
come on.
that
Well, I mean, he's aghast that he didn't think of it, or he's cutting in on like which one is it? Don Jr. who's got the like holdings in Polymarket or Kalshi or both
yeah,
of
it
them?
was
I don't
Eric or
know.
Don. I think it was Don
Uh,
Jr. Yeah.
like he's pissed off that the guy's like undercutting his idiot sons. How else are they going to make a living if not by grifting off of the presidency? Like it's not
But
like they're competent at anything.
it's great that today those two stories came out. One of Trump
Yeah, it's
admitting, like,
perfect juxtaposition.
yeah, it's like I said, like it's a wine and cheese pairing. Like it's like a fine burgundy red with a nice blue. But it's so funny that he is just selling insider information, legalizing the selling of insider information, because under Supreme Court ruling, this is him discharging his duties as president, I guess, and then getting mad at the
Yeah, at the
teleprompter
guy,
guy
the poor prompter guy,
for 10
who
years.
only made like $100,000, I think they said in the
Yeah, no, it was
story. Like, come
100,000. Yeah, no,
on.
it was exactly
I
100,000.
mean, you
So,
know.
I mean, the norms, Derek. I mean, RIP to the norms. I wish
Yeah,
we had
yeah,
like
we gotta
one of
gotta
those
keep the standards up,
one of those morning zoo sound effects boards where we could play like the norms are done. I don't think the norms are coming back. I think the liberals have accepted that the norms aren't coming back. But yeah, this is an extreme case. It's funny. I've been working on another project, and I've been really digging into the church committee. And that was basically like the 3 years where the United States president was reined in by some sort of rule of law.
Yeah,
Like all the
yeah.
craziest Kissinger stuff happens basically. So do you know like the deep history of Kissinger? I'm like learning like the deep, month by
No.
month history of him.
Yeah.
So Nixon gets furious because Kissinger gives this interview to Oriana Fallaci, who was this very interesting, cool feminist journalist in the 70s who interviews like the Ayatollah and Kissinger and all the Gaddafi, I think. But anyway, he gives an interview where he basically says like he's the lone cowboy riding into town. Nixon gets like super mad. And then in late 72, early 73, I think January 73, Nixon and Kissinger share the Time Men of the Year thing. And like this is like
Oh,
this is like
that had to piss Nixon off,
Nixon's
right?
like Kissinger's out after
Yeah.
this. So Nixon starts like seriously Nixon
Kissinger.
starts seriously freezing Kissinger out between like roughly late 72 and early 73. Kissinger's going to be out, except March 73. What happens? Watergate's exposed. So
Brilliant.
basically Kissinger goes from like I am out. This is the end of my career to like I'm literally now the president.
Like, yeah, he's like running the country. Yeah.
He's like running the country. So like all the craziest stuff of Kissinger happens, like Chile shuttle diplomacy, which is like him just being the president.
Yeah.
And the even further escalation of bombings outside Vietnam, like bombings in Cambodia, happened during this period. During this, like Kissinger is like this,
like off the leash.
Yeah, because he was like about to be out, and then he's like on top,
just running wild across.
Right. So anyway, so like the church committee comes in, blah 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 blah. But like, I mean, it was really wild what was happening between like 1973 and 1975. But anyway,
you think about like there's these little periods where like the internal dynamics in the White House had to be screwed. Like, I mean, after Wilson had his stroke, or there's been other moments like that we have less information about than presumably what we know about the inner workings of the Nixon White House, but just times when the president was like off his rocker or otherwise. And we may be living through one of those times now. Probably lived through one of those times in the last administration, but like
the big ones,
interesting.
The
like,
famous ones,
little moments where somebody else has their hand on the wheel and you're not really sure who it is, but you just get the sense that the president isn't in charge.
I mean, the big ones are, of course, this like 73, 74. I think Nixon resigns in August 74. So like basically March 73 to August 74, it's just like wild. Kissinger is just running the show because one of the funny ironies is one of the reasons that he's like not really involved in Watergate partially is that like this is Nixon starts freezing him out. I think Watergate is June 72. So like Nixon's already like annoyed with Kissinger. So like ironically, Nixon being annoyed at him kind of saves him because he probably would have been somehow involved. But the big one that people mention besides this like 73, 74 Kissinger is, of course, Woodrow Wilson, who, if I recall correctly, has a stroke
Right.
in 1919, around then,
Somewhere around then,
1919.
yeah.
And then his wife essentially is running parts
Run of the country.
of
Yeah.
the country, just like Jill Biden was
Somebody
probably.
somebody in the comments said Reagan. I mean, yeah, like
Reagan, though,
how much do we
different.
know? Like,
Reagan is not like incapacitated. Like
no,
basically, what they
but
think is it's kind of like, have you looked into?
yeah.
I happened to look into this for an essay. Like
Okay.
the Reagan thing, it's a little shaky because it's basically psychologists like reading his public utterances
Okay.
and saying that this like sounds like early onset Alzheimer's in like the second half of the second term. That's shakier than like Wilson is just out and Nixon is just like an alcoholic. Like, do you know the Nixon rule that Schlesinger, the Secretary of Defense, said? He told the military, if Nixon issues an order, don't follow it.
Nice.
Yeah, I forget, it's the Nixon something. But anyway, sorry to ramble on there. But like, I think like this is all I wanted to get to the church committee, which is just like the norms, Eric.
You know what? You know what? The best thing that Ronald Reagan ever said was about Iran-Contra, when he said, a few months ago, I told people I did not trade arms for hostages. My heart and my best intentions tell me that's true, but the facts and the evidence tell me it's not. Just a wonderful
That's so good, dude.
presidential rhetoric. That is so perfect.
Yeah, no,
I love that.
He's really one of a kind.
My heart says one thing, but the facts
say another.
I don't know. I mean,
yeah, there's also like
those damn facts.
There's still like, what did he know? What did he not know? Was he there? Yeah, there's so much going on there. I mean, do you know who Fawn Hill is? Do you remember that name?
Oh yeah, vaguely. That's she was in one of the scandals, right?
So she was Oliver North's, if I'm remembering correctly, secretary.
Yeah. That's
and
okay.
she was very attractive. Do you know what happened last year?
No, what happened?
Oliver North married Fawn.
Oh, did he really?
Yeah,
good for them. Okay,
it's Iran-Contra is a fucking rom-com, dude.
Brought together in scandal and stood the test of time. You love to see stuff like that.
Yeah, she was very pretty, and she has like the big like 80s hair. But yeah, she married Ollie North. You know
that's later. Like my first political memory is watching those hearings.
Really?
On TV all day. Yeah.
Was that 87?
Yeah.
Because
the first overtly political thing. I mean, I can remember like vaguely the 84 campaign, but like the first thing I really ever watched that was like, that sticks in my head like an overtly political thing was sitting there watching them grill these idiots about Iran-Contra.
Mine is I must have been, I just turned 4. I lived next to a public school, which was a polling station. And I remember a guy coming out, and I was standing with my father, and they're like, "Who'd you vote for?" To my father. And my father's like, Dukakis. And the guy's like, "I voted for Bush." And I remember thinking he was like a bad guy. And then like when the Berlin Wall fell, I remember like watching a singer sing on top of it. I'm not sure if it was David Hasselhoff, but I remember like vaguely a singer singing on top of it. But that's my like sort of like the second like real political memory that I have.
I have a piece of the Berlin Wall somewhere.
Do you?
Yeah.
I have a piece of the True Cross.
It's in a box somewhere. You have a piece of the True Cross?
Yeah, I wear it around my neck all the time.
Fascinating.
Like Ned Flanders.
Well,
that's one of the greatest lines when someone's trying to kill Homer and the Bible saves him, and then the piece of the True Cross saves him. God, that writer's room was fucking running on whatever the opposite of empty is, running on gasoline. What a good joke. But yeah, man, are the norms, are they ever going to come back, or are the norms dead? All right. How do you, norms? We're living in our no norm era.
Like, what do you do here? Unless like it's broken now. Like I imagine there's going to be a strong impetus for the Democrats in 2028 to nominate somebody who's like a nerd, basically. I mean, for better or worse, who will not do this stuff. But now that the apparently voluntary restrictions on doing this kind of shit have been, broken, It's just a matter of time before people are just, openly, trading for like back to doing what Trump is doing. Unless you put actual restrictions in place, and I don't like American politics just isn't equipped for that. Like it's just not. These people would melt. Like Congress would melt if it had to actually impose restrictions on the presidency. I don't know what they would do with themselves.
So we're just that's it. It's just R.I.P.
I
my
mean,
country.
yeah, until the next
Till the
constitutional
revolution.
convention, which is going to come any day now.
Yes, brought to you by OpenAI, Amazon, and Monsanto, and Taco Bell,
Yeah,
spreading
or we just make. I mean,
diarrheal
just make
parasites.
AI the president, and then we don't like President Grok isn't going to have to like, uh, insider trade on shit. I guess so. He's got that going for him.
Yeah, no, it's just it's going to be really interesting. Particularly, also, do you think the great wealth transfer is going to happen, or do you think they're all just going to spend the final 2 years of their lives on private health care, keeping?
That's a good question. Like this
Yeah,
is this feels like it's going to wipe out a lot of wealth for like
right.
the mid upper level, like not the really upper elite level. Sure, they can like do whatever they got to do, but like the die off, the boomer die off is gonna wipe out a lot of wealth for people at that next band, like the
Absolutely.
comfortably upper middle class or lower upper class, whatever you want to call it. Yeah, that'll be really a lot of pissed off heirs, I guess. We'll see. We'll see what happens.
Which is going to be a big deal. I mean, like as we've talked about numerous times, we're obviously at a more unequal period in American oligarchy or American history since the Gilded Age, and it just seems like that's not being addressed at all. Uh, and I guess it'll just continue to be unaddressed, and soon a Substack in every pot,
Yeah,
a podcast on every
yeah.
table.
Everybody's got to do their own live stream to get
Yeah,
to
everyone's
get
got
any money.
to get some
I mean,
bucks.
as the universe of jobs shrinks, like we're not replacing these things. Like we're
No,
turning everything over to slop, and we're not coming up with new things for people to do.
well, this is the
In a
irony,
sane
right?
society, you would have to start providing for people at a basic level. Like you would have to start providing. You would have to, or there would be outright revolt, like destruction. You would have to start providing things like healthcare. You would have to start providing like a universal basic income. But we don't live in that world, so who knows?
Yeah, I mean, well, this is my stupid joke, which is that like we have the capacity for communism with Amazon, which is micro analyzing every transaction in the United States. We have artificial intelligence to get rid of basically mindless white collar work. Blue collar work has long been
Right.
automated or offshored, but we just live in a society where that's not going to happen. So we're just getting the complete. I mean, this is the prediction. I think we might have talked about this with Bob, but the prediction was just totally right. The Marxist prediction, like these things could be used for good, but instead they are used for evil. And that's the situation we're in. So we've all got to bet on, who could be angry at that teleprompter operator for trying to get a little scratch from betting on Kalshi.
Seriously, like I mean, he's just following in the example of our great president.
Right.
Like, come on. He's upholding the best traditions of Trumpism in trying to make a buck off of what the president is going to say before he says it. I don't know how you can come down on this guy. He's a true American. He should be held up as a champion to the rest of the downtrodden masses who are complaining about their silly day-to-day lives because they don't have a $400 million Air Force One to fly around on, or they don't have, their sons aren't about to build massive destructive resorts in remote parts of the Balkans or whatever. Like, I mean, he should be an example to the rest of us, but instead they want to punish him. It's bullshit.
How do you think MAGA's doing in the wake of what did they call it? The Great Patriotic State Fair? What was the name of it? Or
Yeah,
something
I don't know.
something like that. MAGA seems like kind of lame right now.
I mean, they killed fewer people than I thought they were going to kill. Like maybe that's partly because of the rain, or like they were expecting storms, so they had to get everybody off. They didn't have everybody baking in 120-degree heat all day, like they were planning to. So but I did think that the body count was going to be higher.
Do you remember the neck thing that people used to wear at like water parks in the 2000s to cool them down. Do you remember this?
Vaguely, yeah.
Did those work?
I have no idea.
Right?
I have no
There were
idea.
like these neck coolers
Yeah,
that
something like
you
that.
don't see those anymore. Just like
No.
it's another weird thing you don't see anymore. Tweety bird tattoos, grumpy tattoos, or grumpy shirts, or Tasmanian devil tattoos.
Grumpy Cat's gone. Like
No, not even. I'm
he's not
talking
there
about
anymore.
Grumpy the dwarf. Do you
Well,
remember
okay,
how
but I'm
big
talking about
those were in the
Grumpy
90s?
Cat. I mean, he was a hero.
I
And,
wonder what happened
you
to
know,
them. Like, because tattoos, they last, as we've learned from
yeah. Yeah,
former
all the people
candidate
who had
Graham
these things
Plattner.
like yeah, I was thinking about that the other day because we were talking about my wife and I were talking about tattoos and like what would you get that you could feel confident wouldn't, in 10 years look silly.
Derek, you know what?
I don't know.
I'm saying it right now. The first 3 people to get the American Prestige logo tattoo, they get free lifetime subscription.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean,
If anyone
it's
wants to do
gotta. I
that,
mean, if they're willing to advertise the show,
but it has to be
we can
someplace that
make
people
that
will
work.
notice.
Right. It
No,
has to be
no
you
lower
be able
back
to see it.
tattoos.
No.
Imagine you're with someone and you do
Oh
reveal their
God.
shirt and you
No,
see the
please
American
don't make me
Prestige
imagine
lower
that.
back
No,
tattoo.
no, 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 no. I don't need to imagine that.
That'd be so dope. Yeah, if someone got it on their forehead, then them and their family don't get it on. Please, for the love of God, of all that is holy, do not get the American Prestige logo tattoo. Do you remember the Mitt Romney logo guy from 2012 who got the Romney logo tattooed on his head?
No, the only
That was
Romney
real.
person, or the only person I remember doing body modification that election was the person who claimed that they'd been attacked by a Barack Obama supporter and who carved, B in their face or whatever, but it was backwards because they'd done it to themselves in a mirror. That was classic.
Who do you remember the guy? It was, I think it was during Black Lives Matter when he fake vandalized his house and it said "Blacks rule." That's my all-time fake vandalism. Blacks rule. Like that is such
yeah, obviously that's
statement
something
that
that
would
somebody
never be.
would definitely vandalize your house with.
That'd
Absolutely.
be so fucking funny that someone did that. God, I mean, COVID was a dark time. It was the best of times. It was the blurst of times. Oh.
Yeah, we've got some real, bright folks in this country. That's all
I
you can
wonder
say
how many
about that, I
people in the
think.
blob listen to us. I bet you a fair amount. I wish we should have like an anonymous account where people could reach out to us and give us tips
Yeah,
about
yeah.
what's going on in the upper
I mean,
echelon.
Akbar Shahid Ahmed told us one time that there were people in the Trump administration who were listening to the show. I don't know. Like,
How come they've never
that's an
paid us
eyebrow
money
raising thing. I assume
to consult for them?
given the predilections of people within the Trump administration, I imagine when I started referring to JD Vance as a swarm of flesh-eating bacteria taking human shape, they probably stopped listening to us.
Zoran definitely has listened to, or has heard our voices. He's definitely listened to Chapo, and he definitely heard.
Yeah, I feel like
how could that
at least
guy
through
not listen to
Chapo, a lot of
Chapo?
these
Yeah.
people would have heard us. Yeah, I was just on Chapo actually.
Yeah. Yeah, Derek was on Chapo, everyone. Check it out. Our old friends over at CTH. Yeah, that's very funny. I would love to know who listens to us. We probably have some famous listeners out there. Like cut to Steven Spielberg. Like,
oh well, we got
to
Morgan. We got Morgan Spector. He
yeah,
listens to
Morgan,
the show, we
obviously.
know that. And
Morgan, the only
hopefully he's
celeb to shout us out.
telling his Hollywood friends to listen to us. But
all of you celebs out there have not shouted us out. Only one so far.
we need to get him to model the merch when it's
yeah.
it's
Oh,
ready.
guys, we're gonna have merch coming soon. It's really cool. I think it's really cool. I wear it all the time.
It looks good.
I was the product tester, so I got like
Yeah.
a million shirts. The mug is cool. We got some new art coming for all you homies in Prestige Land. Should we talk about the Khanna interview?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
I mean, I just, it was like whiplash because he went to the West Bank and got some like, good vibes from the from the I don't know if you want to call it
so what exactly happened? He was
pro-Palestine
detained,
folks.
right?
Yeah, he was detained. I mean, you know, as happens, like you go to the West Bank, you get detained by uh, a bunch of half-wit settlers with automatic rifles because that's what the West Bank is. And then the Israeli security forces showed up and kept him. I think detained him a little bit longer. Then decided to let him go on his way. And he was getting, then people were criticizing him for doing a publicity stunt, like, oh wow, a member of Congress doing a publicity stunt. God, the horror. What will we tell the children? Um, but I mean, they accused him of going to a restricted area. It wasn't a restricted area. That's part of the reason why the IDF let him go. Uh, so I mean, it wasn't like he was provoking what happened. That's just what happens when you go on a trip, to tour the West Bank with Palestinians. You eventually run into, the mob, and they stop you. And if you're lucky, that's all they do. But a lot of times that's not all they do.
Yeah, we should get Jasper back on the show. I think he just came back from the Middle East.
Oh, is he back? I was going to
I
say,
think
I
he is.
think
I
he's still
saw
there,
him
but
on
if he's
Majority
back, yeah.
Report. Yeah, we should reach out to him and get him to talk about what he saw in the West Bank. I mean, bad things always. But okay, so that's what happened to Khanna and
Right.
Khanna.
But
And
then he
so
went
what
on
happened?
that
Okay,
drop
yeah.
site thing and just shat all over himself, basically. Like, uh, people who invoke Martin Luther King to try and judge the Palestinian resistance, like, should just not be listened to anymore. Like, I don't, fuck off. Like, this is your preference for these people to adopt nonviolence in the face of ethnic cleansing, apartheid, extinction. Really, I don't care. Like, who gives a shit what you think they should be doing? Like, you may think it would be more effective if they just took it, and were nobly nonviolent about it, but it's not your place to say. So just shut up about it. And that was what Scahill pressed him on. Basically, I mean, it was a 2-point juxtaposition. Like, did Hamas and the other resistance groups have the right to attack Israeli military outposts on October 7th, which is, the first wave of that attack targeted military outposts? And he said no. And then, the follow up was, does the Israeli military have the right to, carpet bomb Gaza to try and kill Hamas members? And the answer was yes. So, what are you doing here? Like,
Well, it's this whole liberal norm thing, right? Against revolutionary
yeah,
violence. I mean, this
it's
is
the
this is
same
the
thing. It's
thing.
the same thing
Yeah.
in Obama. It's the same approach that Obama took to this, which is you have rights to self-defense if you have a state. And the Palestinians don't have a state, so they don't have a right to defense, which flies in the face of international humanitarian law, which says that you have the right to resist occupation by any means. But it's also just a kabuki game, because you don't have a state, so you can't resist this occupation. But we're not going to let you have a state, so you'll never have the right to resist. You'll never have the right of self-defense, because we control the levers of whether or not you get to have a state. So guess what? You're just screwed. Just sit there and take it.
Yeah.
And that's just so
Well, there's a historian.
patronizing and demeaning.
There's a historian named Mira Siegelberg who wrote a book called Statelessness, and I think she goes into this about like how if you're a stateless person, you essentially exist outside of normal society, international and domestic, and you're denied fundamental rights. And I think when people talk about like the right to self-defense, which was most obviously discussed in relation to Ukraine, they have a particular vision of state-on-state invasion. And
Right.
obviously, when you're the hegemon, you're going to have a different approach to what is perceived as a revolutionary violence. I mean, it seems like a new discussion because obviously, basically, the world has become the world of nation states. But I mean, this is what Fanon is talking about. This was like the whole notion of revolutionary violence in the period of decolonization, which is like what type of revolutionary violence is legitimate and what type of revolutionary violence is illegitimate. And surprisingly, actually surprising absolutely no one, what you often find is where you stand on that issue is where you sit. If you're in the
Yeah.
North Atlantic world, you have a certain position. If you're in the FLN, you have a different position.
Right.
And so like this is just the debate that's been going on for a long time. I mean, and really the thing with Palestine is that it's like the last vestige of this imperial 19th and 20th century imperial order, not the type of imperialism that exists today. And so I think like this is why these conversations are just any I mean, I think AOC would say the exact same thing. You know,
Probably.
like I wonder what
Yeah.
like Ilhan Omar and Rashida Tlaib would say. Maybe they wouldn't, but they would be the only two people in the
No,
United
I don't
States
think they
political
would,
system.
but you're right. Like, I
Right.
think AOC would find some way to try to massage it so that, you know, the Israelis. It all comes down again to the bullshit question. You know, does Israel have a right to exist? Which and I don't know. I've never seen anybody respond to that question by asking the person who asked it, "Do Palestinians have the right to exist?" But that's really the only appropriate response to that question. Like, you know, people have the right to exist. Nations, who gives a shit?
Well, that's a
But
question
like,
framed through the Holocaust, right? I mean, I think that's what that question means, right? Like the implied there in the wake of the Holocaust, do the Jews deserve a state? I think, right, that's what they're really asking there. Like
yeah,
when someone at on ABAC or the ADL says that, like that is like the esoteric meaning Straussian would say, right? The exoteric meaning is about the state of Israel, but the esoteric meaning is like, what do you do with the Jews after the Holocaust? And so that's why I think that's become such a hot button issue where people perceive it as this issue on anti-Semitism. Though I think
yeah.
again, all this stuff is
That's
fading.
true. Somebody just said Abdullah Sayed did ask that question in response to being asked, "Does Israel have the right to exist?" So I gotta give that up. Yeah, he did. That's right.
Right. And he's running in Michigan, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's funny. The Midwest always the hotbed of radicalism from the populists today to down until today. Uh, yeah. So yeah,
Um,
interesting things. So what else did Roe have to say? Anything else interesting?
I don't think so. That was the thing that everybody was clipping and kind of criticizing him for, and he's been, you know, on the back foot on X, the Everything app, from what I can tell, but mostly for people who are like, you know, how dare you appear on with these
Oh, on
drop
draft
site
site. Yeah.
loons? Yeah, I mean, you know, like, I don't, you know, they get dinged because they actually talk to people in, you know, Ansar Allah or to people in Hamas, uh, which is beyond the pale unless somebody like Mike Wallace does it. Like, if you're in the elite journalism club and you get a big interview with, you know, Osama bin Laden or whoever, that's a big scoop. But if you're, you know, not in that club, then you're aiding and abetting terrorism, and you should be, you know, investigated. This is the, you know, what people have been saying on online about those guys.
I feel like if William Buckley was around, he would interview someone from Hamas. He interviewed Huey Newton. You know, like, and I'm not sure Huey Newton was getting much coverage in the early 70s, which is, I believe, when he interviewed him. I mean, obviously Roe can't be. I mean, maybe he is, but there's unlikely he'll become president. So I
I don't
wonder.
think he has the Riz. Yeah, like,
No, I mean, what cabinet position is he going for essentially, right?
oh, that's an
That's for
interesting question. Yeah,
I
what
mean,
is he
that's the run in
qualified
28, yeah.
for? Yeah,
I don't
like
know because he's also got these
Secretary
Silicon
of
Valley connections, right? So
Commerce, maybe. Yeah.
yeah, he's interestingly situated.
Um,
But he's been making foreign policy like a thing for a while too, which usually people don't do. Um,
yeah, I
so
don't
yeah.
know if he thinks he's gonna be under consideration for Secretary of State, but hopefully not.
Yeah, I mean, that would be so I mean, like, so who do you think is gonna be? AOC, Buttigieg, and Gruesome Newsom? Right? It's gotta be.
I mean, if you're looking at it in terms of the lanes that are available, I think those are the three archetypes. Yeah.
Right.
But you know, who knows what will emerge? Still a long way to go.
Yeah, not that
Um,
long though. The midterms are what, in 3 months, 4 months? I mean, after that, then is gonna be the
and
rev
I
up.
mean, who know? You know, after the speech tonight, maybe we won't have elections anymore. I don't know what he's going to announce.
So, yeah,
He's
someone
gonna
said it's gonna be
he's
about
gonna
China.
declare that John Ossoff is illegitimate or
All
something.
right, because he's, what's the new thing? It's the left-wing
Ian
terrorism
Warnock,
designation,
yeah.
right?
Well, the left wing terrorism, yeah. Somebody asked about that in one of the chats
Did they
here.
pay for it, Derek? All
Um,
right, now we're not
thank you.
talking about it. They
No, they
didn't
didn't.
pay.
They didn't pay for
All
it,
right, so what
but
should we talk about? Let's talk about the
I don't
death
know.
of
We
Stan
are
Neil.
we are at least tentatively doing a video, next week's video episode about that. So
Don't tell
people
them,
should.
Derek. They're gonna
Why?
think they're gonna
Promo. It's
think they could push us.
previewing. No, I'm teasing future content. This is how you sell That's how you move subscriptions.
So, what's your favorite Sam Neill movie?
Favorite Sam Neill movie. I mean, are we talking like movies where he was the star or he was just in them?
No, I
Like
take it as you
Hunt for Red
wish.
October. I mean, it's hard to go wrong with Hunt for Red
Did you
October.
see the Alec Baldwin video? It was, I
Yeah.
love.
Oh my God, where he
It was
just talked
amazing.
about himself
It
like
was
the whole
so
time.
good. He goes, Sam Neill.
Jesus.
Sam Neill, Hunt for Red October. And then he spends literally 3 minutes
Yeah.
talking about himself and everyone else who wasn't Sam Neill. I mean, he's one of the best to ever do it. It's
Yeah.
like
Oh yeah. Just
Baldwin, Joyce Carol
complete
Oates,
narcissist. Yeah.
Drill. No, so good. All right, so okay, so that's a movie Sam Neill is in. What's your favorite Sam Neill,
I
centered
mean,
movie?
I have very fond memories of the original Jurassic Park.
Yeah, I mean, classic.
That was
Boring, but
classic.
classic. You like the Beatles too?
Yes, I do. In fact, like the Beatles. So, um, oh, we got a paid question.
Do you think we escape? Well, the Thucydides trap isn't a thing. Also, someone should check out this really interesting piece written by a friend of mine, actually, John Kirshner in Foreign Affairs. So the Thucydides trap is essentially, it's Graham Allison, right? Graham Allison, who is
I think
a
so. Yeah.
Harvard political scientist, most famous for writing a book about the Cuban Missile Crisis, came up with this like pop
And
IR book.
Xi Jinping is like a big fan of this. Like he went on at length about it, I think, when he was meeting with Trump.
So supposedly it is taken from the Peloponnesian War, book written by the famous General Thucydides. And Derek, the trap is that like two great powers will fight, right?
Two great powers. Yeah, I think the U.S. here is like Sparta because Sparta was more established as a hegemon at the time, but Athens kind of emerged as the new
yeah. So it's basically like rising,
like
and
inevitably falling. A rising and falling or rising and static hegemon will have to clash, have to go.
But it's really interesting because what Kirshner argues in the most recent Foreign Affairs is that that's a profound misreading of Thucydides, because Thucydides' entire point is that the Athenians going to war is what ruins them, because they defeat, they defeat.
Sparta wins. Sparta wins, but it ruins Sparta.
But the Thebans come in, right? Like basically, like
afterwards.
Yeah, afterwards. So the whole point is like the fighting of the war destroys you.
The Spartans win basically with Persian money. This is Patrick Wyman's argument. I think he's right. Like the Athenians do some stupid shit, like they try to invade Sicily, and
it's a Sicily campaign.
It's a complete disaster
after the Melian dialogue.
But the Spartans themselves are so worn down by the end that they have to they get paid by the Persians basically to defeat the Athenians, but they're spent as a force, and the Thebans Thebes emerges as the new hegemonic power because they've got a strong army, and they have a very creative commander who sort of when that conflict eventually happens and the Thebans and Spartans go to war, he's able to turn the typical Spartan tactics against them, and they win, and Thebes very briefly emerges as
then Alexander
and Philip shows up.
Philip and Alexander. I mean, so the whole point that Kirshner argues is that
they all screwed themselves.
That you all
like
the
all
point
the
is that you
city-states
all lose,
ruined themselves,
right? Yeah. So the Thucydides trap doesn't really make sense because he's framing it as like Athens loses and Sparta wins, when it's actually that everyone just loses. So I think that's true. But no, I basically think that the U.S. is good. I've said this 5 billion times. I think Derek actually disagrees. I think the U.S. is going to leave the first island chain. It's going to be a slow retreat, hopefully. And then that'll be that. I just don't see like a president AOC. Maybe a President Rubio is the only one I see, but I don't see even.
I think over a long enough horizon, I think they will. I think the U.S. will leave. I don't know if the conflict is going to trip that, like, come in before that. To me, the limiting factor for all of this is climate change. Like, China's going to get hit hard. They've been hit hard in the past by droughts. Haven't lasted necessarily, but China is probably in worse position than the U.S. to weather like serious climate impacts for at least initially. Like the U.S. will eventually pay the price as well, but when we talk about countries that are mostly responsible for climate change being largely insulated, at least from its initial effects, like China's not that. But at the same time, like all the first island chain countries also are going to become, unstable, untenable, like dealing with these impacts. So the U.S. will have to consider whether it can remain in those places. But that's over a longer time frame. Like if China decided to invade Taiwan tomorrow, all that would be off. But we got another question: the chances of a tactical nuke used against Iran. I don't. They're not zero, which is
they're not
up.
zero. That's my response.
I mean, yeah, I can't. I don't want to put a like percentage on it, but like the fact that it's not zero,
I'll put a
is
percentage, but not
up.
for $1.99. I mean, come on, cough it up if you want to put a percentage.
Yeah, we could. If
dollar.
That's
not even. That's less
on
than a
Kalshi,
McDonald's cheeseburger.
I mean, it would be absurd to do it, but Trump is. We talked about this on the news. People get to hear that tomorrow, but I think he is like dangerously incompetent at this point. Like in the, brain working sense of the word. Like I think he's really lost something, and so I don't know. I mean, if he ordered it, I don't see any reason to think that the military would refuse the order. And I don't. It's again, the chances that he would order it are not zero, which is horrible enough to ponder as it is.
Derek, that was $1.99 in New Zealand currency.
Oh, okay, all right.
So that's like 70 cents in American
okay.
currency. How much is 199 NZ in USD? That's $1.16.
Okay, all right.
I don't get out of the bed for less than $1.50. Yeah, I think that's right. I mean, the thing that I always come back to with any war is that the U.S. doesn't do casualties. Like the U.S. just hasn't suffered casualties since the Civil War. I mean, obviously it has, but if you compare it to like all the other belligerents and wars that the United States has fought in, from World War I down to today, it's like orders of magnitude different. And so that is, I think, that something that will prevent the United States from doing anything for real in East Asia, which it would need to do because China's a mega state and has real interests in the region. So I think that's the we did not lose 500,000 people in World War II. I believe we lost 250. Hold on, I was just looking over this. Shouldn't even responded to the chat. Hold on, USKIA World War II. Oh, I was wrong. Wait, is that correct? I see a lot of.
Are we looking ones. Europe or Pacific?
No, it would have to be. It would have to be both. No, I thought it was less. Hold on. Neuroterm Museum, USA. I might have to take it back. I'm sorry, chat.
Okay.
So yeah, I thought it was closer to 400,000. Okay, I thought it was a little less than that. But yeah, no, that's a lot. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I mean the consideration for using a tactical, like why? What would that get? What would using a tactical nuke on Iran get? Let's say you nuked a bridge or you nuked like a water thing or I mean, you could nuke a city, I guess. I don't know if you'd use a tactical nuke on a city. The utility of that is even less. But like,
I think you do.
What do you do then? Like, if you don't want to put troops on the ground, you don't want to, do direct regime channel. What's the utility of it? What comes after that? I don't have an answer for that. But yeah, and I don't think Trump does either. But again, like, who knows? He's not firing on all cylinders.
He's absolutely not. Oh, also, just chat, just so you know, we're good. I hope you enjoyed seeing that live because we're going to cut my not knowing the exact figures out.
Yeah, that's. So
I hope you enjoyed that.
Yeah.
Someone also gave us $3.
It'll be an urban legend.
Which Derek is only $2.14 US.
Okay, that's still okay. Boots on the ground in Cuba.
In Cuba, no, not boots on the ground. Not. I
don't think?
Yeah, I don't think.
Well, okay, define boots on the ground. Like, I mean, a snatch and grab is technically boots on the ground, right? If they
yes,
due to the 170-year-old Raul Castro, the same thing that they did to Nicolas Maduro. Although how they're going to get him out, I don't know what conditions.
I define boots on the ground to whatever prediction markets use to prevent from paying out.
Oh, okay, all right, yeah. That's good.
Boots on the ground. Literally have
standard
to
for everything.
Boots like, on the ground.
What's the definition of any political term?
Someone wears
Poly market says it is. Yeah,
that's the new definition. I mean, I don't know, right? One would think he would have done something, right? By now,
not necessarily.
You don't think so?
No,
Why not?
I mean, because I think they're still distracted with Iran. I mean, they have they thought that would be over. Maybe they thought it would be over. It's not. It's back to it's almost as bad as it was before the ceasefire. So I think they're still trying to figure out how to end that before they go further. Um, the other thing is I don't know who are they going to get to run Cuba, because Marco Rubio is already apparently the viceroy of Venezuela.
Right.
And there's only so many hours in the day for an enterprising young man such as himself. So I don't know if he's going to be the Cuba guy too, or if they're going to have to get somebody else, or if they're going to, get somebody else to do Venezuela for him, and he'll shift to Cuba. Like, there's a lot of things that have to be, a lot of questions that have to be answered there.
So, Derek, we got another question. Good news. This one isn't in lira. This one isn't in Soviet rubles. This one is
Okay,
in
all right.
zloty. It's in
Good old US
American
dollars.
US dollars. What's up with the Horn of Africa post Iran ceasefire? That's a Derek question.
I'm not sure specifically what you're talking about, like Sudan, Ethiopia, just in general.
Pick one.
Yeah, I don't
You're
know.
the Horn of
I'm
Africa.
hoping he'll put a
Yeah.
qualification
And Human Mishra will allow you this one time.
Yeah, to
amend
follow
your
up.
question. Meanwhile, I'll answer Drew Zelda. Danny, I follow Richard Wolff. I like Richard Wolff a lot. Marxism practice. I've heard a lot about Marxism theory. Where do you see Marxism practice in or outside the United States? I mean, there are moments of Marxism in practice throughout the Cold War. The problem, though, is that whether you look to Latin America or you look to the Soviet bloc or the Soviet Union itself, it's already it's existing within a dominant capitalist world system. So I don't think you have seen the type of democratic Marxism in the late 20th or early 21st centuries that one could point to as sort of like, this is what would happen here. I think it's going to be very difficult, obviously, to have a Marxist politics, but I think you could see inroads of it at the level of the city, which is always where it's functioned most in the United States. If you're looking, the great efflorescence of the fin de siècle in the late 19th and early 20th centuries. I think if you're looking at it with Mamdani in New York, and hopefully you'll start seeing it elsewhere. I mean, I think I couldn't imagine any form of planned economy really happening here at scale, even though that's happened during war, obviously before. But yeah, I mean, I think it's very difficult to imagine the mechanisms of a Marxist politics at the level of the nation in the United States. I think you could see things at the level of the city and then build out from there, which is actually what happened with the New Deal. A lot of the New Deal programs were first piloted in cities through the progressives and then adopted at the national level. And even Herbert Hoover actually starts adopting them a little bit after the Depression, but obviously FDR does it more. So that's where I would look to Marxism in practice, would be to cities going forward. I mean, it'll be interesting if you could see, and then I'll stop talking, but like maybe it does seem like something like debt cancellation would have to happen. I just don't see how the peonage is too strong a term, but I'll use it sort of the debt peonage of student loans and credit card loans for generations of people are going to be able to enable a functioning economy. So you might see things like that begin to change, but is that quite Marxist? I'm not sure. The Bible mentions jubilees. So yeah. All right, Derek, back to you. I saw you Googling.
Okay. Yeah. So no, I had to text my wife. Sorry.
That's okay.
Yeah. So the question seems to be about the UAE and Saudi Arabia kind of exporting their rivalry. I mean, the first thing that has to happen is the Iran war needs to end, like, definitively, for that rivalry to even really express itself. And the Saudis have a lot of catching up to do in Africa. Like, they're way behind the UAE. So I don't know. I mean, Ethiopia, the UAE's been backing Abiy Ahmed, and he's dealing with the Somaliland government on some level, although that fell by the wayside as the Turks were trying to mediate between Ethiopia and Somalia. The conflict in Sudan is a big driver here, and the conflict between Ethiopia and Egypt is a big driver over the Nile River. And that I still think is a potential flashpoint. Ethiopia built the Grand Ethiopian Renaissance Dam, and it's now functioning. And the Egyptian government has been pissed off about this for years now because they're worried that it's going to be used to restrict water flows on the Nile River, which Egypt obviously depends on. So they've started forming alliances with Eritrea, with the Somali government, and kind of building this anti-Ethiopia bloc in the Horn of Africa. But I don't see that moving very much as long as Iran is still going on, unless Abiy does something like starts a war with Eritrea, which has been rumored for quite some time. We got another question. What does Ethiopia get out of hosting RSF camps? And it's tied to the same thing. The Ethiopian government and the Sudanese military don't get along with one another. There was a point where that relationship was pretty good, but the Sudanese, when the civil war started in Sudan, particularly, the Sudanese military was very heavily dependent on Egypt, and Egypt and Ethiopia are at odds with each other. And so the prospect of a full military takeover now is unpalatable in Sudan, is unpalatable to the Ethiopians. So they're helping the people who are fighting the Sudanese military. I don't think it's much more complicated than that. There's also the UAE web that kind of connects all these things. So the UAE backs groups in Libya, it backs the RSF, it backs Abiy's government in Ethiopia, it backs, it's got a network of, it backs the Somaliland administration, and it's been kind of drawing these countries or these entities together for a while. But primarily, I think from Abiy's perspective, it's about preventing this regional bloc from emerging that's really opposed to what he's trying to do.
Derek, we got one more, which is for you, and then everyone, we're going to be winding up here. So if you want to get your final questions here, we accept drachma, we accept francs, we accept Deutsche Marks.
Yeah, I mean, if it spends,
yeah.
Any good non-hysterical journalists covering North Korea?
And I can answer that. I have thought about the Mexico part. So why don't you do? By the way, that's 2 questions. Bailey Williamson.
Well, but
I'll let you this time.
$5. That's all right.
I'm on to you, Bailey.
Well, I don't know if I can answer the first one. Like, I don't know if there are any good non-hysterical journalists covering North Korea in 2026. Like, analysts. Did we talk to? Who's the last person we had on to talk about North Korea?
Was it Tammy? I mean, I love Tammy Kim.
We talked to her about South Korea.
I mean, she covers South Korea. Yeah.
When the last time we did North Korea was, but yeah, it's not easy to find, and part of it, I guess, is like North Korea just hasn't been in the news that much. I mean,
yeah, because they got a nuke and they prevented the United States from bothering them, basically.
Yeah. But like Trump and Kim haven't done their like bromance again yet. Maybe they will in the next couple of years, but. Kim doesn't seem like he really cares that much, and other than them sending troops to help Russia in Ukraine, like you just don't get a lot of coverage. There are these occasional stories about like they've rolled out a new destroyer or submarine, or my favorite genre of North Korea story is like Kim and his teenage daughter both wore matching leather jackets to an event. What does it mean for the succession crisis? Or
means they got style.
North Korea? That's obviously hysterical. So that wouldn't meet the definition. So yeah, I just don't know off the top of my head if I can answer that question.
So about Mexico, I think it's going to be. I mean, it so much depends on the United States, and so much depends on whether the United States is going to legalize currently illegal drugs. And I'd like to start. I'm not an expert. I would look to the work of Alex Avina. I would look to the best sort of for popular audiences, the North American Congress on Latin America, NACLA. They report on the Americas, the work of Christy Thornton, who's been on the show. These people are much more familiar with this than I am. But from my understanding, the difficulty of quote unquote ending drug cartels is that they're very embedded in state institutions. And so to what degree does the central government in Mexico City control local and provincial governments? Far from them. My, again, layperson's understanding is that there are degrees of control and there are degrees of non-control. So it's not just an issue of like there's these illegal drug gangs or drug cartels and you get rid of them, is that they're embedded in Mexican state and society in a real way that it's not going to it's difficult to just pry those apart. It also depends. There's just a huge demand. I mean, the United States has an enormous demand for all types of drugs. And again, my limited understanding is that a lot of drug production in Latin America and the Caribbean basically traces American demand. Also, when you shut down, I think famously when you shut down after Plan Colombia in the 80s and the 90s, or I think Plan Colombia was the 90s, again, not an expert, production just shifts to Mexico or shifts to elsewhere in Latin America because it's essentially following demand. So I think that you're going to have to address the embeddedness of drug quote unquote cartels in state and Mexican state and society, and also the demand coming from the United States, which are obviously two gigantic issues. But we should do another episode on that as well. And then someone mentioned like to what degree is the American security services and apparatuses embedded in these. I mean, difficult to know, but it seems like there's likely something, but again, not really an expert on that, or to what degree that's an artifact of something that happened in the past, to what degree it's happening now, I don't know. Tom Strand, of course, asked the most important question, and then we have to go. Has everyone pre-ordered Imperialist? God damn, there's another one. No, it's good answer. Has everyone pre-ordered Imperialist Realism? Derek, I've got some big appearances coming up in the next few weeks. And I'll let you all know. Also, I'm going to launch, didn't plan on announcing it, but as you also know, I'm launching a Substack. It's going to be called Imperialist Realism. More on that soon. And can we have someone on to discuss missile warfare and air defense systems? Sure. That's a good one. We haven't done anything on that.
Yeah, we could do that.
All right. So before we go, any final questions? And thank you, Donbass Boomhauer, who I believe is a active member of our Discord. Thank you for asking that question. Tom, thank you for asking your question. And if anyone has anything else, doesn't have anything else, okay. I think we're going to go. Thank you, everyone, for listening. As I think my new sign off, Derek, is I love you all. You're my personal friends.
Okay, great.
And we'll be back next week.
News too parasocial for me, but we will be back next week. Thanks, everybody.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.